Chapter 1. Opening. The silence of the forest. There is a particular kind of silence in a Finnish winter forest. It is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of something older, a cold that presses down on everything and holds it still. The trees don't move. The animals don't move. Even the light seems frozen, pale, and flat, coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. In this silence, in November of 1939, something was watching. Something that had grown up in these woods. Something that knew every shadow, every sound, every shift in the wind that did not belong to the forest itself. The Soviet Union was about to send 300,000 soldiers into Finland. They expected to be done in 2 weeks. They had not been told about the silence. They had not been told what lived inside it. Chapter 2. Rautajarvi, the origin. Simo Häyhä was born on December 17, 1905, in the village of Rautajarvi in southeastern Finland, a small community near the Soviet border, surrounded by the kind of forest that defines the Finnish character. Remote, self-sufficient, unforgiving. His father, Juho Häyhä, was a farmer. His mother, Katrina, raised 7 children in a household where work was constant and complaint was rare. Simo was the 3rd child. He grew up doing what Finnish boys of his generation did, farming in the summer, hunting in the fall and winter, learning the land the way you learn a language. By total immersion, from the time you can walk. He began shooting competitively at 17. He was exceptional from the start. Not flashy. There was nothing flashy about Simo Häyhä. He was precise, methodical, patient in a way that most people never learn to be. He could lie motionless for an hour, waiting for a shot. Then take it. Then walk home for dinner, as if nothing had happened. He completed his mandatory military service in 1927 with the Finnish army. His scores were the highest in his unit. Then he went home. Back to the farm, back to the forest. He hunted. He kept his rifle clean. He did not expect to need it for anything larger than a moose. Chapter 3. The Rifle. Mosin-Nagant M28. The weapon he had chose for the winter war was a Mosin-Nagant M28, a Finnish adaptation of the Soviet rifle design, modified by Finnish gunsmiths for precision and reliability in extreme cold. It was a bolt-action rifle with iron sights. No scope. This was a deliberate choice. A telescopic scope requires the shooter to raise their head higher above cover. In a duel between snipers, that extra centimeter of exposure can be the difference between the shot and the kill. He had thought about this. He had thought about everything. He also used a submachine gun, AKP-31, for close-range engagements when Soviet soldiers came into his position. His confirmed kills include over 200 with the submachine gun alone, in addition to the over 500 confirmed sniper kills. The rifle was not a tool how it carried. It was an extension of everything he had learned in 20 years of hunting the Finnish forest. He knew its weight, its pull, its behavior in cold weather, the way the barrel would contract when the temperature dropped past -30. He didn't aim with it. He thought with it. Chapter 4. Context. Why the USSR invaded. On August 23, 1939, the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, a non-aggression agreement that secretly divided Eastern Europe between them. Finland fell within the Soviet sphere. Stalin wanted 2 things from Finland: a buffer zone to protect Leningrad, and access to the Hanko Peninsula for a naval base. Finland refused both demands. On November 26, 1939, Soviet forces staged a false flag incident at Manila, claiming Finnish artillery had fired on Soviet territory. 4 days later, on November 30, 1939, the Soviet Union invaded Finland with 4 armies. Over 400,000 soldiers. The expectation in Moscow was that Finland would surrender within weeks. Soviet planning did not account for Finnish terrain, Finnish winter, or Finnish soldiers. it did not account for Simo Häyhä. Chapter 5: Mobilization. Finland responds. Finland mobilized everything it had. 300,000 soldiers, reservists, farmers, hunters. They were outnumbered 4-1. Their artillery was outdated. They had fewer than 100 tanks against Soviet thousands. Their air force was a fraction of Soviet power. What they had was the forest, and the cold, and the knowledge of both. Simo Häyhä was assigned to the 6th Company of the 34th Infantry Regiment, defending the Kollaa River. His unit was outnumbered 8-1. His orders were to hold. He went into the forest, and did not come back for 100 days. Chapter 6: The Technique, How He Hunted. Every morning before first light, him would move into position. He had studied the terrain during daylight, every depression in the snow, every fallen tree, every angle of fire. He chose his positions with the same care he had given to hunting moose for 20 years. Cover, concealment, escape route, fields of fire. He thought through each element before he settled in. He wore white overclothes, camouflage that blended completely with the snow. He carried white painted equipment. When he settled into position, he was invisible. Not nearly invisible. Invisible. He packed snow into his mouth. This was critical. Human breath in -40 creates visible vapor. A sniper can be revealed by something that small. I had thought of this. He always thought of this kind of thing. He would lie still for hours. 2 hours. 3. An entire day when required. Not moving. Not coughing. Not shifting. The cold was simply home. When a Soviet soldier entered his field of fire, he waited. He did not rush. He waited until the shot was certain. Then he fired. Once. And moved. Never the same position twice. Always gone before the sound faded. Chapter 7: The Numbers. 100 days. The numbers are almost impossible to process. In 100 days of combat, over 500 confirmed kills. Officially 505. Some estimates go even higher. That is 5 kills per day. For 100 consecutive days. In -40 degrees. While being hunted. No sniper in history has come close. Others had dozens. Some had hundreds. He had 500. In one winter. Alone. Chapter 8: Soviet Fear. The White Death. By January 1940, Soviet forces in the Kollaa sector were afraid. Not of the Finnish army, of something specific. Something in the forest. They could not see it. They could not stop it. They named it the White Death. Fear spread faster than orders. Soldiers refused to move. Patrols returned unfinished. No one wanted to walk point. Counter-sniper teams were sent. They did not return. Artillery was used. He moved before impact. He watched from somewhere else. They tried traps. They failed. Chapter 9: Kollaa. The line that held. The Battle of Kollaa lasted the entire war. Finnish forces were outnumbered 8-1. Soviet forces attacked repeatedly. They never broke through. He was one of the key reasons. Not just for his kills, but for what he did to morale. An enemy you cannot see is more terrifying than one you can fight. Kollaa held against impossible odds because one man decided it would. Chapter 10: The Shot. March 6, 1940. On March 6, 1940, Simo Häyhä was in position near the Kollaa River. It was the 100th day of the war. A Soviet soldier fired a single shot. An explosive round. It struck his lower jaw. The damage was catastrophic. His face was destroyed. He was found unconscious, thought to be dead, but he was alive. Barely. Doctors did not expect him to survive the night. He did. He remained unconscious for 11 days. Chapter 11: The end of the war. He wakes. On March 13, 1940, Finland and the Soviet Union signed the Moscow Peace Treaty. The Winter War was over. Finland had lost territory, but had not been conquered. A nation of 3 million people had held off the Soviet Union for 105 days. That same day, Simo had regained consciousness, as if he had been waiting. Chapter 12. Recovery. 26 surgeries. The reconstruction of Simo Häyhä's face required 26 surgeries over several years. Finnish surgeons rebuilt his jaw using bone grafts and plates. The work was slow, painful. The result was permanent. A scar across his face. He was promoted to second lieutenant, the fastest promotion in Finnish military history, signed by Mannerheim. A journalist once asked how he felt. After killing so many men, he said, "I did what I was told to do as well as I could." He never said more. Chapter 13. Return. Back to the forest. After recovery, he returned to Rautajarvi. Back to farming. Back to hunting. He raised dogs. He lived quietly. He did not speak about the war. Not to family. Not to journalists. He wasn't hiding. He was done. He continued shooting into old age, still with iron sights. Chapter 14. End. 96 years. In peace. In 1998, he was still hunting at 92. A journalist asked about regrets. He said no. He had done his duty for his country. Simo Häyhä died in 2002. At 96 years old, he outlived the war, the men who hunted him, even the Soviet Union. He died quietly, in peace. The forest remembered him.